Okay, so I have a few tips for you when you're doing your eye embroidery. First off, you have to know where. I like to use these safety eyes. They kind of just help you line up about where you want to do your embroidery. It just gives you a placeholder for it. Okay, but the problem with that is that I can't put the yarn in a hole, right? Like the safety eyes go in a hole. But I can go underneath and use the rows there. So I'm making sure that I line up using the rows, the different rounds. They're kind of like a grid, and so use that as you're going. Okay, so as I'm going, I want these to be pretty small, so I'm only going to have my yarn cover one round. So it looks really tiny, and it's also farther down than the other eye. You can see that. I actually wish I had gone up one more, but I kept going. So the most important tip I can give you right now is to use the same hole coming in and coming out. So your needle should go in the same place each time. And as you pull, pull gently and have it line up nicely. So don't just pull and tug. You want to guide it with your finger. And I go on one side and then around the other side. See, it looks like it's going to be tiny, but this is how it gets bigger, is you're going to go around to the right and pull tight, and I guide it, and then through the left, same hole through the top and the bottom. You're going to repeat this until you have your eye about the size that you want, and just be aware that the more passes you take, the bulkier the eye gets, the more likely you are to have a problem that you don't love. So I'm going to go out through the same hole that I went through on the side. Okay. Also be careful not to pull too tight, but if you do, you can use your needle and kind of wiggle everything up so it sits on top, especially with this type of yarn. Worsted weight doesn't happen as often. Plus yarn, you're going to tend to sink in a little bit. My other tip is I don't weave in all the ends until I am completely satisfied. So I don't want to cut that black off yet because I want to make sure that I like my reflection piece, and I also like the other side to match. So here I'm going with my white yarn, and I'm going to come up through the middle of that eye. Okay, and I'm going to gently pull it through and leave just enough so that I can weave in the ends later and tie it off. So it looks like it's going to be huge, but remember it will sink down a little bit. Okay, so the center of the eye is not, it's hopefully only going to look like it's coming from the top. Now I'm going to go down directly where that same hole was that I used with the black, and I'm going to try to come out that same hole that I inserted from the side. This one you also want to be careful as you're guiding it to pull it gently, gently, because if you pull too hard, it will sink in. I much prefer to sew these on when the head is stuffed, but you do get little stuffing pieces. So pick those off as you go. It's just easier. Again, look at here I am pulling that up just a little bit. Make sure it sits on top. And there we go. Very cute. So I'm going to show you how to tie off. Again, just double knot. Like I said before, I like to do this when I do both eyes, but I'm showing you here. So they came out the exact same hole. So then when I pull this through, it's going to pull that little knot underneath. I'm just going to go through the exact same hole and pull tight and then snip it off. Then it's time to do the other one and you're all set.